Health is always not about your physical look. It goes beyond that, both mental, psychological, and emotional. That's the more reason why Akessesemtv Television is giving you this sweet, wonderful program to hit your screen, Health on the Street. And I am your wonderful host, Asonaba Nananoche. You can call me Asonaba, the MC. So we are considering that, of course, if you have good health, then what makes good health a complete one? Ask yourself, are you able to consume enough water as required? Are you able to take in your 3 square meals as required? Are you able to overcome stress? When do you even enjoy your stress-free time? Do you have time to even get yourself involved when it comes to leisure time? How about dealing with your own aerobics? Do you exercise a lot? Catch me live on the same channel, Akessesemtv Television, this and every weekend with your man, Asonaba Nananoche. All right, thank you very much. This is Akessesemtv Television for you, as we already said, Health on the Street. Today is the maiden edition of Health on the Street. So, of course, if you are with us, then, of course, note that you are with Akessesemtv Television. Today, we happen to be in the midst of a very wonderful, renowned young one. And, of course, every individual will aspire to be like him. He is Jerry Mate. He is, of course, the founder of Feed the Sick Foundation. It is, of course, a very wonderful event team that is really helping and supporting individuals who are less privileged at the hospital. And of course, he is also the main CEO of Zoe Publication. He is also a renowned psychiatric nurse at the Trauma and Specialist Hospital in Winneba. So without wasting my time, quickly go there and then we'll get ourselves updated as to how the mind really works with the human body. So, Mr. Jerry Mate, because of COVID, you know how we do it. Good. Yeah, so, Jerry Mate has already introduced you. I think I'm getting it right.
Exactly, that is my name.
All right, that's great. So, we know you to be a psychiatric nurse, yeah. And when we talk about psychiatry, we all can attest to it. How does it take? How does it feel to be a psychiatric nurse?
Actually, I feel so happy. It is an area I've never regretted entering over there because it teaches me a lot about human life. It has really helped me to relate well with people, and I've seen that psychiatry actually is life. You can't live life without psychiatry because we are social beings. We are human beings, are social beings, and social beings, we must relate. And for you to relate well with people, you must know who they are. And psychiatry really tells you about human behavior, because you can tell me that you can't relate well when you don't know people's behavior or when you have no room for tolerance for their behavior. So psychiatry is actually on point.
All right, so it's all about knowing the behavior of individuals and your ability to also move with them or tolerate them. And so, of course, today's topic, as already said, is the mind. And of course, when we're talking about the mind, we're talking about psychiatry experts. So he happens to be a psychiatric nurse. Then, of course, we'll consider how the mind works, how the mind really relates to the human. But when we say the mind, what is the mind?
All right, the mind is the functional part of the brain. Actually, you have your head with that whitish thing inside, which is the brain. Now, the brain has parts that functions. And so the functional aspect of your brain is what we call the mind. That means that the brain has the vision center, it has the eating center, it has the movement center, it has the hearing center. Every center of your life is connected to the brain. So there is a portion of the brain that connects to your heart. That is the cardiac center. And so whenever you are talking about the mind, then the functional part of this brain, the various parts I've mentioned, when they are functioning, then you are talking about the mind. That is a collective name given to the functional part of your brain. And so that is the mind. I think it's so clear.
All right, all right. So it's a well-dived, definition of the mind. Mostly, we all actually have a different perception. Where a lot of people, like layman perspective, people have that. So you have lost your mind. It means maybe in a way the person is insane or something. So how do we relate the brain to the human body?
All right. So let me put it this way. The brain is the central processing center. Let's take the computer. When you get the computer, there are mechanisms in the computer that works that we have not seen. some are the diode, the capacitor, the IC, and all those things. They are the things. Now, that is how the brain also works. You see the head like that. Okay, this is your head. Uh-huh. Yes, no, not too big. But then you realize that there are a lot of things inside the head you've not seen until we split the head. Just like the computer is open before you see the mechanism. And so the mind has a whole influence on your body. Your ability to move is controlled by the mind. Your ability to see is controlled by the mind. Your ability to eat is controlled by the mind. The urge to wee wee, the urge to poo poo, everything that you are doing is being connected to a nerve that originates from the mind to your parts of the body that works. And so that is how the mind works. The mind works by commanding your body. And so when there is a problem with your mind, it affects the command message that is sent to your body.
Okay, so that's good. So it means the mind really regulates everything in the human body.
Exactly.
The mind is indeed a wonderful instrument that really connect to the human body. So how does it occur if somebody is not able to wee or somebody is not able to relate as normal as we talk about somebody suddenly the person will wee on the body, so suddenly the person is not able to coordinate between the mind and the body. How does it work?
All right. So it works by receiving impulses. Okay. So the mind will connect your body and then send a signal to your body. Now, what the body does is that once it receives the signals, it begins to work on the body. However, there are diseases of the mind, and that is what we call mental disorders. Mental disorder means that the mind has got a problem, just like your heart can get a problem, just like your kidney can get a problem. This part, we are connecting it to the brain. So there is a problem with the brain or the mind, which is making your movements, your eating, and everything be at a standstill. And that is how the mind works. It really works by receiving impulses by the nerves that are connected within the mind. So now let me say something. Whenever you see an individual on the street, with maybe the body very naked or maybe very dirty and other things, it tells you that there is a functional part of the brain that is not relating well with information. That is the functional part that relates to grooming or personal self. That part of the brain is not working. However, the hearing part is working. So you could see that you see somebody and you say, "Sebi in quote, abodanfo." You say, "Ko, ko," and you see the person moving. If the brain is completely shut down and it's not working, when you command such a person, he will not go. But once you command the person and the person goes, it tells you that his hearing center has no problem. His visual center has no problem. However, maybe his coordination or maybe his activity level has been shattered. So that is the portion of the brain that tells such a person to coordinate in activities, and it's not well functioning. And so you see the lapses that have been displayed. Just like whenever there is a fault of your computer, the only way you can see it is through the screen. The same way when there is a problem with your brain, the only way you see is through the appearance of the individual. And so I'm trying to link things so easy for people to really understand. So when you see somebody and the person is dirty, it means that the portion of the brain that will tell the person dress neat is not functioning. However, the portion of the brain that tells the person eat always command the person to eat. And when the person sees maybe things on the street, he sees them as a food, because the portion of the brain that is dealing with logic to know that no, this food is good, this food is not good, is also not functioning. But yet he sees food. And so definitely the person will go for food. So that is why when we see people with mental illness, we need to really, really get heartbroken for them and try to support them, because there is one way or the other a portion of the brain that is still functioning as human being. It is only parts of the brain that is not functioning, which we need to help them.
All right, thank you very much. That is Jeremiah's, expression. He's giving a vivid explanation about the mind. Today I'm learning a lot, and of course, it tells you that the mind is really, really a vibrant instrument when it comes to the dealing of the human body. And of course, they've dived in how somebody can relate if you one way or the other you are incapacitated in an angle of the brain. You know what it can cause. You know what? Before we dive in more and then come back onto the next session of the interview, we'll go for a short commercial break. When we return, then we, of course, we'll go with more info. Stay with us.
Ebusiafo yɛda mo ase ɛnɛ wetu ni into Akessesemtv na hanso deɛ wohwɛ nnwoma na uhunu nnwoma anim deɛ biebie nnwoma so ɛde nnwoma ɛtwatwadeɛ mu ne ntoma mu nyina ɛkyerɛw na hanso deɛ yɛyi sinitwa ɛne sinitwam adwuma na wonyi sinitwa ase anko sinitwam Akessesemtv nnwoma ne ni soso ɛhwɛ me China. Stay tuned.
All right, thanks so much for still joining us and not changing your dial. Still on Akesesem television. As we said, we are still on health on the streets. We are still diving more on the mind, how the mind relates to the human body. We'll be able to know the negative aspects if your mind is malfunctioning, how it can relate to you. Now we're going to dive in also to know if the mind is also working, how does it also relate to us? And then, of course, we'll go into so many things. Of course, Jeremiah is still with us. I said he is a psychiatric nurse at a trauma and specialist hospital. And, of course, he is also the founder of Feed the Sick and then Zoe Publication as the CEO. We are also here to give you events organization, event promotion, branding, hyping of brands. We also do a lot of marketing on your social media. If you're an artist and you want to get yourself promoted, then get to Akesesem television. You have a movie, you want to promote it. You have a comedy series, you want to promote it. You have a lot of things that you want it to be on the limelight. Then switch to Akesesem television. Just go out your YouTube channel and then subscribe to Akesesem television. Now we go into how the mind works. If the individual is having a sound mind, how then does a person relate?
All right. So to say somebody is really having a sound mind, it means that I will list couple of maybe bulletins I will explain them in few minutes. One, there is what we call appropriate perception of reality. Appropriate perception of reality. That means that you can see clear. When you see a human being, you know this is a human being. When you see a dog, you say this is a dog. When you see a wood, you say this is a wood. If you don't have this functional ability, just like I said, the brain has the ability to see, so perception of reality must be on point. That means that when you see a tree, you don't tell me it is a snake. Or when you see a belt, you don't tell me it is a snake. The moment you misinterpret stimuli, then we are saying that your mind is not sound. But when your mind is sound, whatever you see, you'll be able to interpret it well. Ruling out all form of visual problems like eye problem, people who have which are genuine. But as a normal human being, when you see anything, you should be able to really describe and identify it well. The next thing is what we call the need for autonomy, being able to be of yourself and independence. There are some people, they are 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and still they are with their parents. They can't even leave them. Some are in marriages, and yet still they depend on their parents for suggestions. They depend on their parents for maybe ideas. Such people, their mind is not working. Because when your mind is working, you should have that need for independence. The need for independence. You don't have to depend on people, okay? If I say you don't have to depend on people, I'm not trying to bring the point that you don't need people in your life, but you don't need people as fully rely on it, where they suggest for you, go and bath, go and eat, your husband has come, go and serve him. Such thing tells you that your mind is not functioning, because at every age there is something we call intellectual capacity or intelligent quotient. We get to a definite level in our life where your brain must function with your age. And so when you get to that level and your brain is not functioning with your age, then you are under functioning, what we call mentally retarded. So your mind has really gone back your age. And there are so many people in our country, you see them, they are elderly, they speak and they are speaking like children. That means that they have regressed. Their mind has gone back to a childhood stage. And this is a mental disorder which need to be handled as well. Another thing that we have to really talk about when you are talking about mentally sound is what we call the need to spontaneity. It's a very big word. The need the need to spontaneity. That means that things must be done in spontaneous and in chronological manner. Okay, so when you are building, make sure that your building start from the foundation and then the pillar is raised and then you rooftop. When you are building and you don't have executive plan for yourself, or you are doing any project and you don't have executive plan to yourself, but you jump from project to project, functionally your mind is not operating. It's just like somebody who is washing. Then within a 5 minutes, you go and sweep small. Then he puts the broom down. He come and wash small. Then you go and put the broom, or maybe he will go and take knife. And then you see him maybe peeling an orange. So it tells you that such a person is disorganized in life. And there is a portion of diagnosis that we give to people who have disorganized life, because our life must be organized. One thing that the brain does is that there is a portion of the brain which we call it the cerebrum. The cerebrum is for executive functioning. What are you talking about executive functioning? Executive functioning means that the brain takes time in planning and then executing daily activities. Also, so before you wake up, you know that today I have to go here, I have to go here. That means your mind is really working, it's functioning, because the brain must plan and execute. But when the brain plans and is not able to execute, then it means that mind is not sound. Do you get me?
But you see, we see you really getting us, well enlightened on so many things relating to the brain.
Yeah.
But there are situations where people will be like, I'm embarking on this project, mostly like as our, political leaders will do. Somebody will, begin a project, and when the project is going on, and then maybe will leave office, and then somebody, instead of the person to come and control, the person wouldn't control. Would you term that such people are in such states?
Yes. In there is an English that we say sanity. Okay. Insanity is like doing the same thing but expecting different results. And the whole country in general, we are suffering from what we call insanity. It's like we are moving the same track, but yet we want a different result for our economic growth, which is not going to help us. For us to move from that way, we must move to a place where one plans, another executes, another plans, some execute, so that we have a structured way of life. You can tell me that there are people in life, you see them and it's like their life is not well organized since childhood. They didn't really plan what they want to do in life. And so as they are moving, today they hear concert, they will just go and you see them, they are concert people. The next day you see them, people are playing drums and they are part of them. But you must have a well-organized life. This is where I'm going. And the vision must be clear for yourself. So I think our country as a whole, we have a problem. So the whole country's structure has a problem, which we need a lot of functional minds to come on board and reprogram our activities so that we can really upgrade.
All right, I think it's a good idea, but there's another thing that is a bit challenging to me, like growing up, and then people wouldn't have that enough maturity within them. We know people who, in a way, because of the environment they grew up in, you understand? People don't take responsibility by themselves alone. They always wait, mom is around, dad is around, they take responsibility. And because of that, they grow with it. And people like that, do you still term them to be immature because they have always been dependent to mom, dad, and then sometimes even when they want to do it, wait till mom comes for you to take that initiative? These people, when they grow, and in a way, it becomes difficult for them, because when mom is not there, dad is not there, it becomes a great challenge, especially when they lose them.
Yeah, it's a very big problem. In psychiatry, there's something we call fixation. Fixation normally occurs when you are unable to cross your developmental milestone. At every age in life, we have our developmental milestone. When a child is 6 months, there is activity a child needs to perform. 1 month, 2 years, 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, and over. And so at every point in time, every parent must try to monitor the child's activity in related to the age. If a child gets to age maybe 12 and the child is still urinating on bed, what will you say?
Then of course, for me personally, from a layman's perspective, I might think that it's because, as we say, nitumi ya ne de, enu nti na o junso nkate so, and I say bia yare eka ho na ma na junso kete so, and I say bia what is, we will have to know what is.
So let me add up. Yes, you are not too far from that. But in all these things boils down to training. Okay, training. At a point in age, a child must be toilet trained. At a point in age, a child must be urine trained. When a child sees a pot, you know that this is a pot. I have to poo poo inside this where I have to urinate. There are parents that of late, because of diapers, they don't train their children. Okay, so the child is 1.5 years, yet the child is wee on himself, and they don't see any problem with that. But in our days, even mommy will make the leg like a crabber for you, do you understand? And then you come and sit on it and then enjoy the comfort of mommy's leg and do your poo poo in there, which were ways of training us. You got your time, then they'll give you the chamber pot, then later they'll show you the toilet to go for yourself. So these are processes of training. But when we don't go through these processes of parenting and nurturing our children, when they grow up, it affects their psychological functioning because they were not trained in that order. So they begin to do things that relate to what they feel it is. But that is not appropriate to the normal systems of life.
As we already said, our social media handles, we have Akessesemtv on YouTube and on Akessesemtv official on Instagram, Akessesemtv official 19 on Twitter, and of course Akessesemtv on Facebook. So of course, if you want to see all this content and then a lot of content that will get you so much refreshed, then go to this social media handles. As we already said, still diving about the mind and how it relates to the human body. So of course we are trying to draw the curtain, and so let's see a quick about it. In all, what will you tell public or the people when somebody is going through any of this handicap nature of the mind? What will you tell the person? Should the person visit the hospital, or should the person have a change of mind, and then how the person look about things, how the person has to relate to humans? Should the person have a change, or the person needs to be on treatment? What's your take on it?
All right. So my take of this message to people is that we want the whole world and people to understand that every behavior is meaningful and goal directed. People behave the way they behave because of either problem or absence of problem. And so when we see people and they are behaving strangely, which we think is not related to our cultural norms, the best thing is to start seeking for treatment for them. Some of them might have genuine stresses that are pressing them on and that are changing their system. We have a whole lot of mental conditions in the system. We have depression, we have anxiety, we have substance abuse, we have epilepsy, we have autism, we have so many. I can't really mention all of them. So I believe that it is time we begin to be our brother's keeper. Let us not be like Cain, who question God and say, I'm not my brother's keeper. Am I the one to take care of Abel? No. But we are not Cain. We are Abels. So let us try to be the keeper of our brothers. When we see a slight change in our brother's life, let us run quickly to any of the government hospitals in Ghana and then have the person assessed. If it is more of psychiatry, they will link you to the psychiatric unit in the various hospitals, and then you'll be able to do as well as the normal people we also see them.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry Mate. As I said, Jerry Mate is actually the CEO of Zoe Publication. He is also the founder of Feed the Sick. He is a psychiatric nurse, as I already said. He has given us wonderful updates about the mind. And I know as time goes by, we will dive in more about a lot of psychiatric problems, especially issues as which is becoming mostly common, in that is the bipolar disease. It becoming common. A lot of people are getting such condition. People having problem with even trying to deal with stress and other so many problems that is becoming a huge challenge, especially issues relating to the mind, like emotions, people having breakup, people getting sacked from the workplaces, people who are unable to correlate with individuals, and even working with people within the environment has become a challenge to people. As time goes by, we will dive in more and we will learn more of health on your streets. My name is Asonaba Nananochi. Today's edition was, of course, being groomed up by my wonderful man, Makati, who happened to be with the camera for us, and of course Emmanuel, who happened also to be a wonderful executive producer, and then Alinko, and then my wonderful Kito. Kito also helped us in the entire production. I say a very, very, very big thank you to my event team, and of course my wonderful viewers who also helped us for such an event to be a success. We will say next week will also be on your doorstep again on Akessesemtv television. Thanks for being with us. Let's meet next week.